Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Midlife Mayhem, the podcast about all of the beautiful chaos of midlife. I'm Kim Branham, RN BSN and owner of Thin Space Wellness and midlife mama myself, and I'm very glad you're here. Today is episode 3 of our podcast. We're going to be unpacking all things GLP-1 treatment. The GLP-1s include Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound. You may have heard the terms semaglutide and tirzepatide when talking about these medications. They're the medications heard around the world. They are changing lives and everywhere. They are everywhere. So what are the GLP-1s? So the GLP-1s are a class of medication that mimic a hormone that's produced in our body's gut. So our body naturally produces that hormone. So it is doing the same type of thing where it's controlling your blood glucose, keeping your blood sugar levels regulated. It slows your digestive tract down and it curbs appetite. So essentially that means that your stomach is delayed. So the gastric emptying is delayed. So it's holding on to food longer, which means that you're not going to be hungry as often. And then it's going to sit on your belly longer to keep you full longer. So that's the first way that the medication works. The second way that the medication works, and probably my favorite way that the medication works, is that it impacts a pathway in your brain, and it basically quiets the food noise. So if you talk to people that have been on GLP-1 treatments, that's the number one thing I hear when they come to me after their first couple weeks on the medication is they're like, there's no food noise. I'm not thinking about food. There are no cravings. It just goes away. It's magic. So the awesome thing about the medication, another awesome thing about the medication is that it doesn't just impact your food noise, especially for women. We've got like 8 million ticker tapes going on in our heads all the time, right? So it quiets all of that noise. So when I was on the medication, I remember that feeling of just feeling content. Like I just felt kind of relaxed and content. My brain was quiet, which gave me lots of room to think about other things that I needed to think about. So the food noise was definitely gone, but a lot of the other just brain noise was gone. They are using the medication now in studies for anxiety, depression, addictions, alcohol addiction specifically, just because of the way it works in the body and on the brain, where it stops cravings, it stops your brain from thinking about all of those things. So the obsessiveness. So the medications are taken once a week. It's a once weekly injection. And I know a lot of people might hear the word injection, think about shots, and they're like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm a nurse, and believe it or not, I can't stand needles. I used to pass out when I gave blood before I went to nursing school. But I do still have a hard time giving myself injections. I was able to do the semaglutide and tirzepatide just fine. So they're tiny little needles. Oh, I actually have one right here. Hi. My son, who is doing virtual school now, has come to join my podcast today. Can you give me just a few minutes? Thank you. Okay, so this is the syringe that it comes in. So it is a tiny little needle, tiny little insulin syringe. So when you inject it, it's injected into the abdomen and you hardly feel anything. You pinch the skin really hard, you hardly feel it. So this is actually NAD. I'm doing NAD treatments now, which is a shot that I take 3 times a week. And I'll tell you about NAD in another podcast, but I'm going to give myself the injection just so you can see what it's like for people who are taking these injections. See if I can show you my belly. All right, so I just clean the area with an alcohol swab. Okay, it's nice and clean. I'm going to keep an eye on it. And I'm going to pinch the skin. And the harder you pinch, the less you will feel this injection. And then it's just 3, 2, 1, boom, goes right in. NAD, I've got to inject slowly, so I'm just going to do this while I'm talking to you, but it's that simple. You do this injection once a week, every 7 days, and you start the medication at a low dose, and you have to gradually increase. Then when you're finished, you just pull the needle out, and voila, all done. Okay, that would have been the perfect place for a sponsor to have like a little commercial in there. I apologize for the break. In the podcast. I needed to go help Mo with a little bit of his schoolwork, which was math. He survived me helping him. Okay, so let's jump back in. Semaglutide and tirzepatide. Let's talk about some of the differences between the two. So semaglutide and tirzepatide work very similarly in the body. Semaglutide works on a single receptor in the brain. It's a single pathway. Tirzepatide is a dual pathway medication. So some people consider tirzepatide to be a little stronger, a little quicker acting with the weight loss process. So it's a little more expensive than semaglutide. So it is cost prohibitive for some people. But some of our patients justify that by, okay, I'm going to lose weight a little quicker on this, so maybe I won't have to be on it as long. Semaglutide works for 90% of our patients. So we typically start people on that unless they just have a reason that we're going to put them on the tirzepatide instead. But realistically, it's a little bit of trial and error with your body to see what's going to work well. So those are the two differences. So let's talk about side effects of the medication. There is a lot of chatter out there online, social media about side effects and how there's some people who feel awful on the medication. They were sick as a dog and throwing up and couldn't keep food down, couldn't eat anything. Okay, those people are misdosed. When you are dosed appropriately on the medication, when you have medical supervision and support of a medical team, you are not going to have side effects like that. That is not normal. So please, when you hear those things, know that that is not normal. They needed something that was more coaching-based, more personalized. When people order the medications online from online resources, you don't know where you're getting the medication and what exactly you're getting. So I highly suggest you find a reputable practice, whether it's ours or somewhere else. Find a medical practice that is reputable and that you know where the medication's coming from and that you have access to your providers. You must have access to your providers. So if a doctor prescribes the medication and you're having side effects, but it's a Friday and you don't hear back from them until the following week, how do you get help? Google? Don't do that. ChatGPT? Nope, don't do that either. You need to have access. So it is very important to us that our patients have support. So we offer 24-hour support to them. People can call or text me anytime because we want to see people succeed. And it's hard to succeed when you feel really, really bad on a medication. So realistically, people should not have side effects. They should not have hunger and they should not have cravings. And once we find that balance and that sweet spot for each patient, it is just this amazing place to be. So it's a very healthy way to lose weight and it works really well. So with the side effects, if people do experience side effects, sometimes it's reported as just a slight heartburn the first day or two after you take your injection. It goes away with the Tums. And then some people do have some nausea. So if you eat really late at night, again, delayed gastric emptying, the food is going to sit on your stomach and you're probably going to feel a little nauseous. Or if you eat something that doesn't agree with your system, something greasy, stuff we probably should not be eating anyway, but greasy, salty, acidic, dairy for some people, alcohol, especially on empty stomachs, caffeine sometimes can irritate the stomach lining, but it's a little bit intensified on this medication. So you really have to listen to your body and what it's telling you. We do provide our patients with recipes and resources for food lists so that they know, okay, these are the foods you might want to avoid. Can you eat them and be okay? Sure, maybe. So try them if you're really wanting something that's on that list. But if you're sensitive to those things anyway, you might be a little more sensitive on the meds. Constipation can be an issue for people who typically already have issues with constipation. We just suggest to our patients just keep a stool softener on hand, Colace. You can get it at Costco for $5 for a huge jug of it. But you just take a couple of capsules at night before you go to bed, and it's not a stimulant, so it's not going to make you go to the bathroom, but it helps keep everything soft enough that it will pass. And forgive me for discussing that on a podcast, but I am a nurse, so you know what to expect. At least we're not eating dinner talking about that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the myths and misconceptions about the medications. So we did talk about, the side effects that people report having that probably are mismanaged on the medications. The one thing I hear when people come to me, either from other practices or if they come in and they have not been on the medication, but they've heard things about it, is that they've been told you have to stay on the medication for the rest of your life. That is absolutely not true. Not true. So there are cases and patients that I'm sure would need to stay on it long term. And those would be people with comorbidities, if they have diabetes, blood sugar issues anyway. Our patients and the people we treat are able to get on the medication, get to their sweet spot, get to that dose that's going to work really, really well for their system, lose their weight once they're at their goal weight. Whatever dose you wean up to on the medication, you have to wean back down. So once they get to the goal weight, we wean them off the medicine, and then they're fine. People are not gaining the weight back because they do the program with us that includes coaching once a month. Whether it's a virtual patient for us or in person, we see every patient every month and talk with them about goals, about habits, about lasting change that's going to help them longevity wise for the future. So this is not like just a, hey, let's take shots and lose weight. This is about let's change our lives and live the most well life possible. So the other thing, I'm just reading my little myths that I wrote down earlier, is that I've heard several people say when they come in that they feel like they're cheating, or someone, they're fearing judgment that somebody's going to think they're cheating. Okay, utilizing your resources is not cheating. I teach my kids that all the time. Like, use your resources, utilize what you have. So this is a proven safe treatment for weight loss that can help people who have fought their entire lives to battle with weight, get to a healthy place, and get to a place where they can maintain it long term. So this is preventative medicine. It's not reactive medicine, right? So we are preventing problems in the future because of unhealthy weight. I'm a big proponent of people feeling comfortable using this medication. You don't have to tell anybody. It's your choice. You do not have to tell anybody you're on the medication if you're worried about judgment. But for your own sanity, if you are struggling and you're stuck and you are like me and you could not lose hormonal weight, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if you have more questions about it, please contact me. I would love to talk with you about it and talk through why this is not a crutch and it's not a sign of weakness to take this medication. Anyway, that's just I've heard that a couple times and it just really stuck with me because I get why people would think that. It's kind of like taking a medication like an antidepressant or something. I've heard that about Zoloft. I took Zoloft and I felt like there was going to be judgment about that because it's a crutch. But you know what? It helped me. It's not something I wanted to do long term, but it helped me when I needed it. So use your resources. All right. So looking at my little list, I'm making sure I did not forget anything. If you have any questions, if you would like to talk through any of these treatment options, just for information, I love to educate. I love to teach. My email address is kim@thinsspacewellness.com, THINSPACE wellness.com. You're welcome to email me. I'm more than happy to send you resources to talk through options with you, to answer your questions. I love what we do and love helping people. So you're never a burden. Please reach out if you have questions. If you have topic ideas for future podcasts, I would love to hear them. So please let me know. I've heard from several people over the past couple weeks since I started the podcast, and just it makes my heart so happy. Thank you for those of you that have reached out because, our goal with this podcast was to help people. So I really hope that people are finding it beneficial. Next week, I'm super excited. We're going to have a guest, my first guest on my podcast. So it will be one of my patients that became a very dear friend that has been on GLP-1 treatment. And so you can hear it from someone other than me, like sounding like I'm trying to pitch this medication to you. It's not about like pitching medication. It's about me being passionate about people getting unstuck. It's just been like the word of the day, unstuck. So I hear so many women say that they just feel stuck in their bodies and don't think that there's any way they can change. It's their mom bod. No, it's not. Doesn't have to be. So I'm super excited that you can hear from some of my patients and some from some guest speakers that can come on and really help give their perspective on their experiences. So again, it's Kim at Thin Space Wellness. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can subscribe on YouTube, which would be great if you want to watch the videos. I am in my North Carolina bedroom today because I had a couple people email me from watching the first and second podcast, and they said they really loved the first podcast, that it was so warm and just cozy that they felt that they were sitting there with me. So I really want to make sure that that's the vibe that you're getting when you listen to this. I feel like we try to create that for our patients in our offices, just a very warm, but it's not a bed, obviously, in my office, but just a very comfortable environment so people feel comfortable just talking and um, getting down to the root of how they need help and how they can live their most well life. Okay, so that's it for episode 3. Thanks for listening, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Next Wednesday, we'll be launching my 4th episode with a guest. I'll divulge that information closer to next Wednesday, but please come back and listen again and reach out if you have any questions. Have a great day.